am your host, Mashuma Saba, M. Saba, and this is our Cultural Variety Podcast. Stay tuned. Peace. And welcome to Coffee Talk Podcast, the Cultural Variety Podcast show. And I am your host, Mashuma Saba, M. Saba. And this is our Cultural Variety Podcast show. Wednesday night sports. How y'all doing today, man? This July 12th. 2023, man, and man, time be moving quick. We're almost in fall right now. And wow, man. I mean, you guys are getting ready to start school shopping, getting your kids prepared, making sure you have the best resources for them so that they can be attentive and be able to do the best that they can. So, yeah, it's fall, man. How y'all doing? Have you been checking out the shows? Yeah, we've been having some good shows here at Coffee Talk Podcast. If this is your first time tuning into the show, yeah, we are a Cultural Variety Podcast show. We appear 3 days a week, and we like to just give you the flavor, man. And on Wednesday nights, that's our sports night, but we're not your typical sports show. We like to give you the different intricacies that goes on behind the scenes in the world of sports. So that's what we do. We don't really care about who won or lost a game. Man. We like to let you know what's going on behind the scenes of the world of sports, what our athletes experience and what they go through. And then we also like to give you our story, not his story, but our story of the past historical events that have took place through over the decades, But yeah, this is Coffee Talk Podcast. And, how are y'all doing today on a scale of 1 through 10? Actually, you know what? We're going to stop saying 1 through 10 because it's so long. How about 1 through 5? On a scale of 1 through 5, with 5 being the best, what is your day like today? If you're having an excellent day, you're having a 5 day. Put that in the comments. If you're having a 4 means that you're having a good day. You know what I'm saying? You can't complain. 3 is you're appreciating your relaxation, your afternoon, your evening, and it's been an okay day. And if you're having a rating of a 1 or 2, and you like to talk about it, make sure you drop a line. Let us know here at Coffee Talk Podcast to reach out to you. We are always willing to lend a shoulder for you to lean on, as well as an ear to listen. You know what I'm saying? It may be feeling like it's tough sometimes, but you'll get through it. You've got through so much in life. You know what I'm saying? You're special and you're valuable. So that's just from me to y'all, my supporters and viewers here at Coffee Talk Podcast. All right, listen, man, let's jump right into it, man. But before we do, we can never begin a show without giving you its flavor as well as its wise words. That's what we do. We also encourage literature here. So we love to go ahead and represent and pay homage to our doctors, our lawyers, our scholars, our authors, our athletes, our people. You know what I'm saying? But tonight's flavor is just a nice coffee. You know what I'm saying? A nice coffee. Why? Because it just needs that boost. You know what I'm saying? And although caffeine could be bad and soda or pop, depending on which region of the United States you're in and what you call it, that could be bad too. But if I had to pick one over the other, I'm gonna have me a nice cup of coffee. Maybe it's because I'm biased and I'm a coffee lover. I actually cut down a lot though over the years. Usually 1 a day. If I'm having 2 a day, it's rare. But I used to have 2 or 3 a day. But yeah, I cut back, man. Just recently in the last few months, just picked it up again. But it's okay. So that's our flavor for tonight. What are you drinking right now? What kind of coffee are you drinking right now? I'm drinking just a regular house brand from the gas station as well. But there's Kenyan coffee, Jamaican coffee, Ecuador coffee. What type of coffee are you drinking? Or are you drinking a latte? Are you drinking a smoothie, a beer, some water, some wine? What are you doing right now? Go ahead and let me know what you're sipping on, if you're sipping on anything, because that is the flavor tonight. The flavor is something to sip on. My choice is coffee. You know what I'm saying? So a nice coffee, cream, and let's do the damn thing. Let's go ahead and give ourselves a boost because we may be feeling a little sluggish, a little tired. You know what I'm saying? So if you have work to do, hey, nothing wrong with going ahead and just having you a cup of coffee, a cup of Joe, to keep yourself going as you try to finish a project or whatever you're working on. So that's what that is. All right. Next up is our wise words. Our wise words here at Coffee Talk Podcast. And this is where we like to give homage to our people and quotes that they have said over the years. Excuse me. All right. So tonight's wise words is from an entrepreneur, a movie producer and director, uh, a fashionista, a brother that has his own rock wear clothing, and was partners with Biggs and Jay-Z to formulate Rockefeller companies. So you know who it is and who I'm talking about. A brother that I like. I really like this dude, man. I like that he's an alpha male. I like that he says it and wears it on his sleeve, man. How he's feeling, you know what I'm saying? And he is definitely for the culture. Excuse me. He's definitely for the culture, man. And, may we get him on the show one day in the near future. But the wise words is from Dame Dash. And I really want y'all to pay attention to these wise words, man. I think they're very inspiring, motivating, and maybe a young brother out there, a young sister out there may need to hear this. But let's go ahead and give it to you. The wise words are from Dame Dash. He states, "When you're dealing with a lot of men talking about selling drugs, you have to be the toughest one out there. You have to be the one to put in all the work that you expect them to do. I was tired of leading from the front and living that life. That was not the aggressive lifestyle that I wanted to live. I wanted to progress as a man." Those are the words of Damon Dash. And as we always do, we'll say it one more time, the wise words. The wise words are, when you are dealing with a lot of men talking about selling drugs, you have to be the toughest one out there. You have to put in all the work that you expect them to do. I was tired of leading from the front and living that life. That was not the aggressive lifestyle that I wanted to live. I wanted to progress as a man. I want to progress as a man. Those are the wise words of Damon Dash. All right, let us know about the wise words. Have you been saving some of these wise words? Have you actually wrote some of them down and put them up on the wall for your children, for your friends, for yourself? These are affirmations that may help you along the way when you're not feeling too good, when you're feeling like a rating of a 1 and 2, and you're trying to inspire and grow, and you want to just make sure that you are mentally sound, especially in the world that we living in. It's always good to reach out, talk to somebody you trust, somebody you value, you know what I'm saying? And make sure we exercise in some type of way, man. It don't always got to be weights. Sometimes it could be walking, you know what I mean? Sometimes it could be walking the stairs, getting on the treadmill. It could be drinking some water. It could be avoiding negative energy. You know what I'm saying? So just make sure that you are taking care of yourself mentally and spiritually. You know what I mean? So that's what it is. This is Coffee Talk Podcast. All right, let's go ahead and get into the show. All right, so Tonight I just want to go ahead and start the show off by talking about the NBA, the National Basketball Association, and what they have in store for this coming 2023-24 season. The NBA is putting together what they call a in-season tournament. That's right, a in-season tournament. Now, this tournament is going to include all 32 teams, and it's actually going to start at the beginning of the season in November. So it's still regular season games. It still counts toward the wins and losses. Still count towards uh, the regular season, which you all know is an 82 game season. However, they structured it uh, as a tournament that's going to run in November. 8 teams, the semifinalists, the last 8 teams will compete in a single elimination round that's going to be later on in December. So, that's what the NBA has in store. It's called the in season tournament, and the winner receives the NBA Cup, the first annual NBA Cup. Now, you may ask, if you're a diehard NBA fan like myself, you may ask, why is the NBA doing this at this time? It sounds kind of corny. It sounds like soccer. Soccer teams have their cups as they also are playing in their divisions and conferences. Um, but you know why they're doing it. They're doing it for the ratings. One of the reasons is they want to go ahead and engage fans in a new way. You know what I'm saying? They want to bring fans in that regularly does not watch the regular season. A lot of us, man, that's been watching NBA ball for over the past 50 years, 75 years at this point. Um, we kind of tend to not really focus on the regular season. Sometimes the regular season, being that it's 82 games, can drag a little bit. You know what I'm saying? And so the NBA decided to go ahead and do this in-season tournament. So that's one of the things. Another thing is, you got these new TV contracts, and you need the TV to reach as many viewers as possible so that you can go ahead and support these young brothers that getting paid these big contracts. You know what I'm saying? So again, it's about TV ratings. It's about these enormous contracts that they have right now. Um, being that it's a tournament, I don't know my feelings on it. I really don't know what my feelings are towards it. Um, with 30 teams, I don't, and it's going to be in November, so you're going to have that middle point of the NCAA tournament, which just passed this past what March Madness, and then you have currently Ice Cube's Big Three, which we definitely support, and I want y'all to continue to support that as well. And then you lead right into this November, which is what, 3 months from now, where you go ahead and you'll see a tournament. So it's basketball, basketball, basketball. But I do want to say this: make sure that you get out there and turn the channel from just sports, man, and make sure you grab a book, man. Make sure you get in there and get your mental right, feed your mind. Something, what I'm saying, that you could be studying as well. So definitely do that, and make sure that you are um, keeping that momentum going as your kids start the new school year. They may need help. Some of them are in their final years of high school, and you're going to be doing a lot, like trying to get loans and grants, as well as going on different college tours to find out what kind of school you want to go to, or trade school. But with all in all, man, just do you. You know what I'm saying, and make sure you're doing it right. Make sure you're doing it righteously. Now, the NBA in season tournament, again, they're playing for the NBA Cup, and also the winner of this tournament, this in season tournament, each player is going to get a $500,000. The runner-up teams, each player would get 200,000 each. So, made some of those players probably put that towards charity or whatever. You know what I'm saying? But you know, that's the NBA. So let me know what your thoughts are on the in-season NBA basketball tournament in the NBA Cup. Go ahead and leave a comment out there. And when you're out there, make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you call your friends and let them know Coffee Talk Podcast is on. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead and do that. And make sure that you subscribe You can check us out again on YouTube as well as Facebook Live. We are going to be on them other platforms, you know what I'm saying? But me, being CEO of this podcast, I like to take my time when dealing with platforms, you know what I'm saying? Because there's a lot of reading to do, a lot of contract reading. You don't want to lose none of uh, your creation, you know what I'm saying? And, it's new media, baby, and we got to protect it that way. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to sell out. You know what I mean? All right, let's move right along. All right, next up, because this is not only my birthday month, it is my birthday month, July 22nd. But it's also a big month for boxing, man. I know some of y'all saw Boots in his fight the other night. And we got a big fight coming up, man. It's coming up on July 29th. And that fight is going to be the fight of the year. And it's going to be between IBF, WBA, WBC, and Ring Magazine champion Errol the Truth Spence, the big fish, against Terrence Bud Crawford, who is the WBO champion. They're going to be having their much anticipated fight on July 29th, and it's going to be held at the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. So you still have time to get your tickets. Make sure that you go out there and get your tickets for the biggest fight. We haven't had a fight like this in probably 40 years, man, since Sugar Ray and Leonard, or Sugar Ray and Hearns, man. Damn, I said Sugar Ray and Leonard. I'm sorry about that. I just caught myself. But Sugar Ray Leonard and Thomas Hearns. Well, can I make a mistake? It's all good, right? No doubt. So I think that's gonna be a good fight, man. Who y'all going with, man? Who you got on this fight? For me, excuse me. Ooh, excuse me. But for me, man, I love them both. You know what I mean? I enjoy both fighters. They're both of my favorites. It's kind of like a Kobe, LeBron, and Jordan thing, man. I really don't even like to pick. You know what I'm saying? Because I like all three of my hoopers, and I'm proud of those brothers. You know what I'm saying? They inspired our youth. You know what I'm saying, to make us want to be basketball players, man, and go to the league, man. There's some brothers going to the league. You know, so that's just what it is. You know what I mean? But let's go ahead and dive right in again because it is, excuse me, because it is boxing. The big boxing match this match, July 29th. That's what our show is tonight. We're gonna go ahead and talk about Jack Johnson, the first heavyweight champion of the world. Uh, the Brown Bomber, of course, Joe Louis. We're gonna go ahead and do this right now before we even get started. Is we want to go ahead and give our shout out to our brother right there. You can see him up there. Is that in your left or your right corner? But that's the boy Javante Tank Davis. And we definitely want to give our props out to Javante Tank Davis because he was nominated today for Fighter of the Year. So they're still collecting votes. The year ain't all the way over with yet. I don't know where they start that from. Do they start it from like December on until December or how that works? But he is nominated for Fighter of the Year. He had a great fight against King Ryan Garcia, where he actually knocked Ryan down, in the third round, second round, and then he just took the boy out with a body shot, like the sixth or seventh round. That was that. You know what I'm saying? So we want to go ahead and respect and give our propers and our honors to Javante Tank Davis. Who gives you the flavor? No other than Off the Talk Podcast, Coach of Variety Podcast Show. All right. So let's go ahead and jump right into it, man. In the background, as you can see, that's Jack Johnson. And we're going to go ahead and jump into what we call our story. Why? Because we want to really encourage young kids and even adults to read, man. You know what I'm saying? And when you read, it broadens your vocabulary. And it makes you escape sometimes. It's definitely a stress reliever. So I just encourage you to go ahead and read, man. Read to your children, have your children read to you. And whenever you're ready, man, write yourself a book on your story, your life. Can't nobody tell your story like you, right? No doubt. Let's go ahead and jump in. So we're gonna go ahead and talk about um, Jack Johnson versus Tommy Burns and Jim Jeffries. So let's go ahead and begin, shall we? Following Jack Johnson's victory over Tommy Burns in 1908, public pressure mounted for Jim Jeffries to come out of retirement and reclaim the crown and white honor. Author Jack London wrote, "One thing now remains. Jim Jeffries must emerge from his alfalfa farm and remove the golden smile from Jack Johnson's face." Jack Johnson was wearing gold fronts back then in 1908. "Jeff, it's up to you." Jeffries reluctantly agreed, and the fight was set for July 4th, 1910 in San Francisco. The fight sparked an enormous interest, and six promoters vied for the right to handle the contest. The negotiations with the potential promoters signified the largest legitimate business deal ever conducted by an African American at that time. Ultimately, the $101,000 purse was issued in four installments: $20,000 immediately after signing the contract, $20,000 60 days after signing, $50,000 48 hours before the fight, and the rest following the fight. The money was split uh, 60-40, with the larger percentage allotted to Jeffries. And you know why. Jeffries, a 5-3 favorite, despite his more than 5-year absence from the ring, was billed as the Great White Hope. There y'all go, kids. That's where that word came from. He was viewed as the Great White Hope. Throughout the match, Johnson easily outboxed Jeffries and verbally taunted him with remarks about his ability. Early in the 15th round, Jeffries was knocked to the ground twice. After a third knockdown, several seconds later, he was counted out, and Jack Johnson awarded the world heavyweight title. Jeffries was gracious in his loss. "I guess it's my own fault. They started calling for me and mentioning me as the white man's hope. I guess my pride got the better of my judgment." He later acknowledged, "I never could have whooped Johnson. At my best, I couldn't have hit him." The Johnson Jeffries bout was one of the most racially charged fights in boxing history. Let's continue. The fallout from Johnson versus Jeffries. In 1910, the 1910 defeat of Jim Jeffries by the African American infuriated whites nationwide. 13 African Americans were murdered and hundreds injured in the post fight racial incidents. The July 5th edition of the New York Times contained numerous stories describing the violence, including three killed in Vandalia, Georgia. Omaha, Omaha Negro killed, two Negroes slain. Black shoot uptown. A Houston man kills a Negro. Negro shoots a white man. A Negro hurt in Philadelphia. Outbreaks in New Orleans. Police club rioting Negroes. Mob beats Negroes in Macon, Georgia. And 70 were arrested in Baltimore. Again, this is the times. As you can see in the background, man, look at the audience. You know what I mean? So that's our story about Jack Johnson. Again, one of the first heavyweight champions, the first heavyweight champion in boxing history. Uh, Brother was rocking gold fronts back then, so it was hip hop. He was culture back then. You know what I'm saying? Let me know what your thoughts are on Jack Johnson. What do you remember about Jack Johnson historically? Are you a boxing fan? Are you going to watch the boxing match between Terrence Bud Crawford and Errol Spence, July 29th, taking place at T-Mobile, Las Vegas? Let us know. Go ahead and leave a comment. Drop a comment. Hit the like button. Share, share, share podcast. And make sure that you subscribe to Coffee Talk Podcast, the cultural variety podcast show. All right. Next up, we're going to go ahead and talk about another story that has to deal with boxing. And this is a story about the Brown Bomber who led from 1914 till he went on to his essence in 1981. Y'all know him as Joe Louis, the Brown Bomber. Excuse me. It took 20 years after Jack Johnson's victory over Jim Jeffries before another African American was allowed a shot at the heavyweight title. When he was 17, Joe Louis, born Joe Louis Burrell, was given 50 cents by his mother to pay for his violin lessons. Instead, Louis used the money to rent a locker at the Brewster East Side Gymnasium in Detroit, where he began to train as a boxer. After fighting 54 matches as an amateur, Louis turned professional on July 4th, 1934, aided by John Roxborough, a local black businessman, and Jack Blackburn, an ex-boxer. Louis prepared to break into the heavyweight division. Anxious to elude the fate of Jack Johnson, Louis made every effort to avoid activities that would encourage racial discord. And I just want to pause right there because I want to mention a little bit about the racial discord. Yeah, it was a racial fight when he fought Jack Jeffries, but also at the time, because he was so um, out there, so vibrant, Jack Johnson actually dated a white woman. Many people didn't like that. No, not back then. No, you know what I mean? Yeah, so that he would get death threats and all kind of things. Let's go ahead and continue. He was given, speaking of Joe Louis, he was given lessons in manners and dictation, advised to always seek a knockout rather than depend on the judge's decisions, which is very smart, and was repeatedly admonished. For God's sake, after you beat a white opponent, don't smile. By May 5th, 1935, Lewis's heavyweight professional boxing record was 22-0. No match he had lasted more than 10 rounds. Excuse me. Joe Louis's popularity within the black community skyrocketed after his defeat of Primo Carnera on June 25th, 1935. Making his New York debut, Joe Louis knocked the 6'7", 275-pound Italian out in the sixth round. Louis described his bewilderment at the attention he received. When I walked in the church, you'd have thought I was the second coming of Christ. Reverend J.H. Masterson talked about how God gave certain people gifts, and through my fighting, I was to uplift the spirit of my race. I must make the whole world know that Negro people were strong, fair, and decent. He said, I was the one of the chosen. I thought to myself, Jesus Christ, am I all that? That's Joe Louis. Joe Louis versus Max Schmeling. The fights that brought Joe Louis his greatest fame came against the German fighter Max Schmeling. On June 19th, 1936, Louis was knocked out in the 12th round by Schmeling. The Nazi Germany celebrated Louis's defeat. A German magazine, Der Wettkampf, printed an article that said France, England, and white North America cannot thank Schmeling enough for his victory, for he checked the arrogance of the Negro and clearly demonstrated to them the superiority of white intelligence. This time, however, white Americans were more hesitant to support a boxer solely because of his race. Schmeling was a German, and as news of the Nazi atrocities began to cross the Atlantic, the defeat of fascism and a victory for America became more important than racial solidarity. On June 22nd, 1938, Lewis knocked Schmeling out just 2 minutes and 4 seconds into the first round. Payback! I know you bitch niggas from way back. Hey, knocked him out again, knocked Schmeling out just 2 minutes and 4 seconds into the first round. In contrast to the violence that followed Gann's and Johnson's victories over white men, this time the entire country celebrated Joe Lewis's feat. Lewis would hold the heavyweight title for 11 years, 8 months, and 7 days. This is the story of the Brown Bomber, Joe Louis. So, how'd y'all like the story? Let me know what your thoughts are on Joe Louis, the Brown Bomber. Is he in your top 10 of heavyweights? You know, he gotta be. You know, he's in a lot of people's top 10. Muhammad Ali's, Mike Tyson, just to say a few. Bernard Hopkins, the executioner, just to say a few. You know, so let me know what your thoughts are. Again, who are you going with? How much money are you gonna bet? I know you probably don't even want to put that in there, but if you have the kahunas to do that, go ahead and drop that in the comments. Let us know how much money you're putting down, who you're going with in that big super fight that's gonna happen at T-Mobile Las Vegas on July 29th between Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence. You know, who you going with? Again, me, I enjoy both of them. They both my favorites. I just want to see a good fight. I'm a big boxing fan, and that's what we're gonna do. So let me know what you're doing today. Let me know what your thoughts are this evening. And before I go, I just want to say, man, y'all continue to stay sucker free. Continue to inspire to reach beyond the stars, man. Whatever you think of, you can manifest and bring that shit to the front. Bring that shit to the front and really make it happen. You know what I'm saying? So, other than that, I'd like to thank you for tuning in to our Wednesday night sports edition here at Coffee Talk Podcast. I am your host. You already know who it is. Mashuma Saba, M. Saba. And this is our cultural right podcast show. I'll see y'all this weekend. Peace.